Okay. It's 4:00, and so I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Nacogdoches Convention of District Bureau Board. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Shay Reynolds. I'm the board chair. So nice to have you all here, our new members. And I'd like to take this time just for everyone to introduce themselves. That would be great. And then we will have a more formal, robust time to introduce ourselves and talk about our backgrounds at a board training in the future. But just today, if you just want to go around, we'll start down there with Cheryl, because I don't think she has a nice fancy nameplate. So we'll just kind of come around the corner here.
I'm Cheryl Bartlett. I'm the part-time CPP. Bookkeeper slash whatever.
Extraordinary. No, not quite.
Whatever they tell me to do.
John McLaren, board member.
Heather Bradford.
I'm John McGuire. I'm new on the board and looking forward to serving.
I'm Ashley Morgan. I'm the interim director here at CB.
I'm Wanda Khan, and
I'm Larry Cave. I'm a professor at CB University, and I'm a board member. Continuing. I'm Philip Blackburn. I'm a board member.
I'm Shelby Nero, and I'm the group health and service coordinator.
I'm Mike Bay and I'm taking over the business.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Alex Rance. I'm an instructor and chair.
I'm
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
My bad. So I'm Alex Rance. I'm an instructor and the chair of the Social and Behavioral Sciences Department at Angelina College. And I also work part-time at Fredoni Brewery.
Great. Thank you, Alex. All right, so we'll move on to our next agenda item, the declaration of organizational change. And I know change the composition of board members, so we are now
an 11-member city board, which is awesome. And it talks about the terms are 3 years. So the composition is it's 11 members appointed.
Or removed by city council, and they represent the following: retail merchants, including restaurants, hotel, motel, and/or bed and breakfast industry, and university
The interest and the term is 3 years. So we probably need to
work that
composition.
Help of our city council, but that will be forthcoming. The important part that we need to talk about today is our duties and responsibilities. And so the Convention of District Bureau shall promote, market, and sell convention and tourism related business in the Nacogdoches area, to further the promotion of tourism and publicity for the area, and to promote Nacogdoches as a tourist destination for the state, region, nationally, and internationally. The CVB Board of Directors is the governing body of the CVB, setting policies, goals, and objectives. The CVB Board of Directors is responsible for hiring the CVB Executive Director. So that is from the city website and maybe also in your books, along with our bylaws and a lot of good information for everyone. All right, we're going to move on to our approval of our minutes from last year. And the minutes are also in your meeting minutes tab. We last met on July 19th. And I have to tell you all, I was in cool Colorado during that meeting, so missed that. It did. She'll take a little moment to look at that, and then we will approve our
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Alex, you second? Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. All in favor to approve our minutes? Any opposed? All right, the motion passes and our minutes are approved. Our financials are a financial report. We don't have to approve our financials, report that's given by Cheryl. So Cheryl, would you like to give us our financial report?
It should be in here. Everybody has a copy of it. I want to say that we, in the last few weeks, have completed the audit for last year. They use the same audit that the city uses, that way it all meshes together. And we also I was also able to get the 990 forms submitted because we are a 501c6 organization and we have to fill out a 990 nonprofit, whatever they call them, form to IRS. That was done in the last couple of weeks. You can tell in the last column of the statement, the percentage of where we are. We should be at 10/12 of the year at 83%. And you can see a lot of these are over that. Realize that things like, for example, brick sales, there's a brick sales and there's a brick expense. And both of those are over budget, but it's the net that's the important part of that. It's okay if our expenses are high, as long as the income that comes with it is high. So quite a few of the categories are that. Again, for the newer people, the events, income, and expenses were something done way last fall that we are no longer doing, but we were doing ticketing services through our website, and there was a lot of confusion about some of that, and we're not doing that anymore. The interest shows up to be very, very high. I mean, percentage-wise, it's not really a lot of dollars, but this is because our new CD that we got the higher interest rate on pays quarterly, and one of those payments came through, so you can tell that that is something that really helped us. The other CD has not been moved yet. By the time I started processing all of that, they require 2 of the signatories on that to dissolve that one to create a new one, and unfortunately not all of the people that signed it are around, so me and John are going to have to take it up because we're the only 2 left on the list. And I kind of thought it would be better to do the new one after. So that one's kind of on hold. We also received checks the first week of, well, one was the first week, one was the second week of August for hot tax, and some of them were late payments, and it's over 100,000. So we are already over the annual budget right now for hot tax, and that 100,000 is quite a bit over, and we still have September. So obviously our budget will need to be adjusted somewhat. I got new figures from Pam for both income and the payroll expenses because obviously with a shift in personnel, that's going to change too for next year. But Ashley and I talked with Shay and we decided we need to get the new director in here. They may want to rearrange some of these expenses and things too. So we're going to keep the budget that we approved in May. I think it was May. Go ahead and submit that to the city by our deadline, and then we will probably not find this fall sometime. We have to answer a question.
Any questions? Cheryl, thank you for that great explanation. Also, board members, at our board orientation, we'll walk through this budget a little more closely, so everybody has an understanding of some of these line items that may need, as we mentioned, may need to be collapsed or changed. So we'll have that opportunity. All right, moving on to our next agenda item number 5, the nominating committee slate of officers. John McLaren and Alex Rance and myself were on the nominating committee. We have the positions for the board are in your bylaws, but it's the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary/treasurer, although we're so fortunate that Cheryl takes on a lot of the treasury work as really more of a secretary, position. And Alex, would you like to make that report?
Yeah, sure. So, John, Shay, and I met, what was that, last week, I believe? And we had a conversation as to what would be the most appropriate kind of way to navigate the current situation that CBB is under, with the fact that we don't have an executive director, so we're actually redoing the interim. And then, of course, a lot of the open, unfilled places currently in City Hall. So at the current time, what we decided to do was to keep Day as the chair, and then have her kind of lead us through this next kind of wave of new people coming in, an interim director, etc. And then I would serve as the vice chair, and she would kind of do her due diligence to kind of show me and kind of direct me into the eventual potential chair role. And then Wanda has graciously decided to bring on as secretary. So that is kind of what we're hoping to do, and kind of keep that position. We kind of want to have the vice chair as like or the chair as someone who instructs and educates the vice chair, and then that person then will kind of take over the position from the chair in the future. So it's kind of like an instructor, kind of mentor role as well. And that's what she's going to kind of do for the next term here. So I think that was kind of all we talked about and discussed, correct?
That sounds like a good representation.
I'd like to make a motion that, install Shay Reynolds as chair, and vice chair, and then on the Tom secretary.
We have a motion. Is there a second? A second. Is there discussion? All right. We have a motion on the table and a second, and so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you all very much. There. Yes, we've had a request to move the executive director search update to later in our meeting. So we will, if there's no opposition to that, we'll just continue on to our permitting discussion update. And I can give that. Ashley and I met with Jessica Sow, who's the interim community services director, and Keith Kiplinger, who is the interim city manager, about 2 weeks ago now, a week and a half ago, and to discuss the permitting process and issues as they currently stand, and kind of what we would like to see happen in the future. And for our new board members, just so you know, permitting for events currently is flowing through the CBD. And events is a broad term, meaning it could be something as large as blueberry or wine swirl, something as small as a backpacker. And so that the person that's responsible for that currently in our in the CBD is Shelby, and she has taken that on. And she talked to the board last month about the fact that she's spending quite a bit of time doing permitting for small events that are not necessarily in line with the purpose and the mission of the CBD. So we went back to the interim city manager to find out, you know, can we please move some of this backpack drives, canned food drives, smaller events that are not bringing heads and beds? Can we somehow move this out of the CBD? So we had that discussion, and there was a document that was written a while back when Amy Mahaffey was the Main Street manager, so I'm not sure how many years ago that was, but talked about permitting and the flow of permitting, and that document needs to be updated. So the consensus in the room was that Ashley and her staff would look at that document and update that so that it would really make some distinctions about the role of the method to CBD in regards to permitting. And that we would come back to the table with that and, try to determine how we're going to best do this. Interim city manager Kiplinger made it clear that they didn't have staff for, permitting. And so we were gonna have to figure this out in conjunction with community services, because that was, we were just not sure how that's gonna look. Ashley, you wanna add anything to that?
Yeah, Shelby and I have been working on the flow chart, as Shay just mentioned, and, we've identified what the process is. Right now, what we're working on is identifying where things get moved, because, you know, at some point when an event comes through, it comes straight to the CBD right now, whether it's a backpack drive or whether it's the Blueberry Festival. So we are currently trying to identify how to split that and kind of, I guess, split the work. My main concern is confusing the public. I think that's extremely confusing. So we're trying to navigate that. But with staffing shortages, within the community services department, we just haven't found a place where that's planned yet. So just to reiterate what Shay's saying, we're currently trying to find a good place for it, but that's also not entirely up to us. So we're just trying to detail the process as much as possible and meet with anybody who at the city who will listen and want to possibly take it on.
Who has the responsibility to do all the project?
Main Street, 8.5 feet. I'm not sure where it went after that. I want to say it was the Parks Department, but I think
Because
that's.
there had to be some time span between the payment when it came to the security.
It went to the parks.
Is that part?
It was the Parks Department. That's,
So there's like parks that not have the staff. You know? Well, we got some like that. Correct.
yeah, I mean, and just from a logistics standpoint, it seems like it flow better through parks. I'm not trying to push anything away or like that, but you have to go to the Parks Department for your planning plan anyway, right? And so, so it seems like a natural progression. We'll do this where probably certain, but just see it from a logistics standpoint.
John, can you explain that to us why they have to go to the parks? Do you want to do it?
To reserve the spot and to because it involves some of these things involve all departments of the city, you know, from the safety standpoint, police, the block on the street. So you involve in parks certainly because of where the event's going to be held is the park.
If it was just held downtown without using the parks, would they have to go to the parks?
It would still, I believe it would still involve most of those departments because of having to set up,
The barricades
barricades
and allow electric
right,
access.
and then you have to coordinate with, because most of these events, you would have to have some sort of emergency response standby. Medical. As such.
But I'm just wondering if the parks would have to be continue to involve the park.
So right now, the permitting committee does include me, parks, public works, PD, and fire and Main Street.
So,
Yes, normally, majority of the permits coming in are for festival park, con park, Main Street, yeah, Main Street, but like the ones in Festival Park, you have to reserve Festival Park through the Parks Department. So if there was an add-on to their Festival Park sheet, you have to fill out your application to rent the park out to start that permitting process instead of coming to us. But like the Main Street, that would, and then it would include the rest of the permitting department.
so let's say I want to have a birthday party at the common park. That committee has to meet to approve that, correct?
They don't take it to meet, but I would send out an email with the permit saying, this is what it is. Here's the logistics of it. Logan and Finch, if you would contact you, is normally more than Let's meet, talk about the logistics of it. Because it is a big event, and trees are wanting to be closed, we do need to be the event planner. If not, we can suffice it, we that.
So if it's just small birthday party. It's, you just automatically approve it?
No permit is needed. If no city services are needed, then no permit, only a park reservation.
Oh, park reservation.
That's different, yeah.
But the part that it doesn't have to be permitted, it's a park.
No. Usually the ones in Festival Park do need a permit because they need electricity and water and, potentially security depending on the event, potentially road closures depending on the event, for young and time get shut down for schools.
Is there a number of people at the event that, the right people?
That's something that we're trying to identify, but the thing is even if an event has 500 people, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's tourism related. Like, you can have a really popular backpack track that has 500 people, but that doesn't put me at that. So that's what we're currently trying to figure out is like, what are the check boxes that send it to community services and what are the check boxes that send it to us?
Well, I was asking the breaking point between you done to be city services. Because I'll get I assume it was city services.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the backpack track needed a permit. Yeah. But there's not a defined number at this point, it's just kind of a PG as we need it. Yeah.
Okay, so the police department is the one that makes that judgment.
Shelley's typically the one that delivers the message to the permit holder.
It just takes a lot of time.
It is quite a bit.
I just think that most cities are your time.
But,
Last meeting is
yeah, like the first week of August, I got 5 permits in 2 days. And none of them were tourism.
I know it's small.
They weren't small though. They weren't, no. And my biggest concern about Shelby doing this is she just doesn't have the authority over these departments. She can't tell a police officer what he needs to do or tell Public Works what they need to do. They're gonna do what they want to do anyways. So my thoughts are put it in a department that is already doing that kind of work. My personal feeling is that it would do well in the Parks Department or Community Services Department because like Shelby mentioned earlier, they're gonna have to fill out a park application reservation anyways. So in my dreams, I think that there's some way to combine those, like maybe there's a box that you can check that says, I'm going to need city services, and then that triggers the permit. Well, and I also don't think we're, the first city to ever have to deal with this. Like, I feel like surely there are other cities that have a similar process in place, and I would be willing to bet a lot of money that it's not under. I haven't yet, but
The city of Dallas's permit, the way it looks and how it flows is kind of the one. Like how we have the agreement, how Dallas's is, which there's a more extensive to this. But that's just.
Yeah, and piggyback on that, and I've been involved with Dallas, Mesquite, and Long Views, and it's Parks and Public Works. Parks, Public Works, and permits. That's how that goes because every permit requires the involvement of Public Works, and so it's makes sense that why involve. This is purely administrative, which.
And the intent was to get the CDD seat at the table because we all know that there's a problem in Ambitious where there doesn't seem to be a central place where all events go in and out of. And so the CDD was attempting to become that, but that hasn't been what we've accomplished. Events are still coming in and not necessarily needing a permit. Now, I want to make it clear that the CDD would still like to be at the table and be aware of these larger events so that, you know, another April 1st or another September 15th, Centennial and Old Town Breakdown weekend don't happen all the time. And I was gonna mention that in my report later, we would like to be kind of the information booth, we already are, for when people have questions about events. But I don't think that necessarily is an aspect of permitting. I think that's just something that we can attend and lend our expertise to. And then that also helps us, you know, get in line with the hotels and make sure that they're aware that these large groups are coming in, what our actual intended purpose is.
Any further discussion on it? Just saying it sounds pretty reasonable. Well, we're working on a document, and we'll hopefully have that to the board soon. Re-engaging with, city manager, city staff. All right, our next agenda item is our short-term rentals update. Cheryl, would you like to give an update on that?
I'll start. You may need help. Sure. I have been working with this with Ashley, and then we met with Shay last week also on this. I started out researching the ordinances and the city codes that define hot packs and unscripted and all of that. Learned quite a bit that I didn't know that I guess I probably should have since I've been doing this for a few years, but I just got to check the deposit before. So, I took information from STR, the company that is providing us with information, and I created a spreadsheet that we can develop a database of short-term rental property owners that they have identified. I also have a list of ones I have not identified, and it's interesting. I've been looking at the pictures, and since I've lived here a while, I know where that is, and I know who owns it. So we are going to be able to help them update their information and get additional property owners at some point. That's on the other priority list. I developed a spreadsheet, and I kind of did a comparison with, I got a list of the short-term rentals that are currently being built by the city. All they have is an email address for them, and they send them a notice once a month and say, send us what you've collected, and you owe us that kind of thing. And it's kind of honor-based. They just assume that they are reporting. Now, at the end of the year, they do some comparisons to what is submitted to the state level, and so we can kind of tell that they're really not doing it. But it's about, when I did the comparison, about a third of what's on the spreadsheet I have are not. So there are some out there. We don't have any idea how many nights they rent out and what the prices are, so we don't really know how much money this is actually going to turn into. But a third to a half of them are not even on the list to get. You know, we need to do. I showed it to Keith and to Pam, and they have reiterated that they do not have the staffing to chase this down and do this. So it is on us. And Ashley and I have developed. I did some research with other towns and how they do it, and we have developed a quick guide with all the information about how to submit it and where it goes, what it is, and where it came from, and all that. We have a letter that we want to send out with it to property owners, and we're going to send it to everybody on the list, even the ones that are already submitting. This is a real general letter to say we are the CDB. We are the recipient of most of the funds, 76.5% of the funds that the city receives from this. Here's what we can do for you, and making it real positive. And hopefully, and you know, if you're already submitting your hot tags, thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. If you're not, here's the process. Go check the quick guide. I came up with a lot of the facts and the sentences to go on this thing. Ashley made them look good. That's what she does. I'm more of the fact person. She made them look good. So these have not been approved by the city yet. Our next step is to meet with Keith and Pam. I was hoping that we would have a city manager, a regular city manager, but it looks like even though they hired him, it may be 60 days before he gets here. So I think we're going to go ahead and try to meet within the next few weeks. Part of this will also have to go through the city attorney, who just started last week, so I kind of felt like get in there before we start throwing things at him. I think we're moving in the right direction. We need to get city approval of all this. I didn't want to give too much to y'all because I don't want this out until we get approval on the writing and all that, but we are making. And I think we'll probably know a lot more about next month.
And just to, for our new board members, we contracted with a company called Rentalscape. And Rentalscape, there's different types of companies out there that do this because we are not the only city that is grappling with this. A lot of cities across the country, but especially in Texas, are looking at how we collect short-term rental hotel occupancy tax. And you can imagine, like in places like Galveston and Austin and Waco, where people are renting out a room for a Baylor football game. It's just a big deal. And another issue that's coming, especially in city councils, is how do we want to regulate these things? There's 2 short-term rentals on my street. I live just north of the university, and so there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that come into play with this. But what we really want to do is reach out to these property owners to say, look what we can do for you, because the potential for short-term rentals is wonderful, and it increases our capacity. We love our hoteliers, but we don't have enough rooms, and we know that. And so, for some things. And so there's a way to do this right. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish. And we can have, what I'd like to see happen is that we invite Shane Sorensen, who's with the Texas Travel Alliance, to come to maybe a exit conversation, or what they do at the chamber to do some awareness things, to have something where we meet with our city council members and say, here's what's going on around the state, because we're definitely not doing this alone. And we really just want to have an awareness campaign for our short-term rental owners to say, here's what the CVB can offer you. And so that's the intent behind this. And going back to Rentalscape, they go out into the web and then they scrape data from not just Airbnb and VRBO, but other HomeAway, other short-term rental places. And so the information Rentalscape is giving us is the property owner, not the person who's operating the Airbnb, if it's a management company or whatever. But also it's broken down by rooms. So if there's a short-term rental that has 4 rooms that are rented out sort of independently of the whole entire place, it's going to show it 3 or 4 times for each room. And it's also going to have the average daily rate, the ADR for each of those rooms. So if it's $89 or $112. And so then if they're not currently on our list of those folks that are, the city's collecting the occupancy tax from, then we give a pretty good estimate of what's being left on the table. So that's what we've contracted with Rentalscape to do that for us. And there's other organizations, there's GovOS that does it, that's more comprehensive even. So I just want you all to kind of know that we are certainly not alone in our desire to wrestle the state. So, any questions or other discussion? We'll keep you apprised of the situation. We're going to move on to our staff reports, and Ashley's going to tell us what's been going on around the city.
Okay. So I'm going to give both the director and the marketing report. I'll start with the director report. So in preparation for the Texas Downtown Conference that's coming next month that Tori is hosting, we're so excited about. And if you're not familiar with that, it's going to be October 24th to 27th. And it's going to be, I believe, over 100 Main Street professionals.
There will be about 350 to 400.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I think I was thinking, but anyways, yeah, so a lot of Main Street professionals, and we're so excited to show off our downtown. So we are also looking at how to improve our entrances to town. And so, we have a limited budget. There's not a whole lot that we can do, but we do have some access to, these, what are the words for them, Chris, the billboards?
Entry billboards.
Entry billboards, they're not the big billboards, but they're smaller, and you can see that they're faded right now with our old logos, or well, still current logos, but they're faded. So I've been working with Chris, and we're, going to improve those. I don't know if we'll be able to get all 4 entrances, but we're gonna shoot for all of them if we can. And they're gonna be, just very simple, you know, what was the phrase that you had on there? Drive into history.
Drive straight.
Yeah, drive straight into history, with our logo, and, we're electing to not go with any, partners because we don't want any co-branding on there. We want it to be very polished, and welcoming. So I'm really excited about that. This is a good time to do it because we, as Cheryl mentioned earlier, we do have a little bit of extra money, and I feel like this is a good use for it. As Shay mentioned, we're going to be doing a board retreat, or board orientation soon, since we have so many new board members. Plus, it's just been a while since we've had one. So I'm going to be bugging y'all again with a bunch of emails about times and stuff, and I really apologize in advance. I hate doing it. But I ask you to just, be flexible if you can, and, I will offer a Saturday option if that works best for everyone. It'll probably be about 3 to 4 hours if I had to guess. So just be aware of that. I'd like to get it done sometime early fall. And we'll offer lunch. We may have in this room, but I'm also looking at possibly having it across the street in Commercial Bank. Because they have a little bit roomier and a little bit nicer of a meeting space than this. And another thing that we wanted to do with some of those extra funds that we have is just do some improvements around the CBD. Some things on the facade of the building need to be cleaned up, spruced up, and painted a little bit. We're not talking much. I think what did we say, about $5,000 to $10,000. And we're going to obviously go with, you know, not the lowest bidder, but you know, decently priced things, and put out the bid to local people so that the money stays locally. And I haven't gotten a chance to talk to Tori about this just yet, but I've attended the Main Street meetings, and they are wanting to use Christmas decorations, and so I would like to kind of add on to that if possible. So whatever they put in, possibly match it. Again, we're talking $85,000, and that's just. There's just such an opportunity to be a Christmas destination, like a Hallmark movie, and we have an issue with that downtown, and so we really want to contribute to that because we feel like it's a big opportunity for tourism, and also for our downtown businesses. Hotel occupancy, you have these reports in your books. It's folded because it's so big. It's a lot of numbers just to say that occupancy was down in July, 0.5%. If you want to go time they're down for the whole year. My hypothesis is that it's because of the way. I don't think people are wanting to get out in their cars and travel right now. But we're still at 19% for the year, so that's still really good news. And plus, we're about to come up on some really big tourism months. As I mentioned earlier, I would really love for the CBD to be the central information for events. So it's a long-term goal. We've been trying for so long and haven't gotten to that point. So what I'm just asking of everyone is if you are friends with or on boards of these committees that have large-scale events like the Old Town Rip Down, the Centennial Celebration, Wine Throw, things like that, that we all consult the CBD on whether that date has been chosen yet or not. And not so that we are the yes or no, you know, you can have your event, but just so we can all collaborate and try to spread those things out a little bit more. So we don't have 5Ks going to plant sale and things like that. We really want to spread the love for it. Any questions about my director report? So they're a private company, or they're a nonprofit, and they're holding it on their own. So that's like a real problem for us is they don't have to go to us to have their, well, they do for the permit. But, they don't have to tell us that they're having their event if they don't want to. That's why I'm just asking everyone to spread the word, like, hey, why don't you reach out to the CBB and see how they can help you with your.
Thank you for moving to charity.
It's probably not that they don't know, right?
When they apply,
Yes, which is why earlier I said we still like to be at that table, like we still like to have that seat. We just don't feel the need to be telling them where the streets will be blocked off and where they can get electricity.
I'd like to just make 2 quick points. One, for the Texas Downtown Association, their new executive director is a lumberjack alumni of the hospitality program. So I'm thrilled about that. And that just shows you how, SFA, the impact SFA has, because she's the executive director and now they're coming back. I'm thrilled that Susie's part of that. And then the last thing, just to say quickly, this is sort of hard to read if you're not familiar with this. It's called the STAR report. We'll go over this in our board orientation, but just a few things for new board members to note. And I'm not trying to dumb it down for you guys because anyway, the ADR stands for average daily rate. If you're not familiar with that. RevPAR stands for revenue per available room. John, I'm not going to get my kids so far. Okay, you got it at my hotelier. And then, you know, our occupancy is our overall occupancy rate. And so this digs deeper, but these reports are available for us through with STAR. Now, I forgot what STR stands for, but the travel report, Smith travel report. Yes. So anyway, we'll go through this, but I just wanted you to know what you were looking at. So we'll go through this more in depth. And you can move on to marketing. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that. It's hard to remember that people don't know what they don't know. But that is what the board retreat is for, is y'all get to hear about all the little nitty-gritties and all the acronyms that we use throughout here. Okay, so onto my marketing report. So we just finished up an app campaign that our previous director had started in a Canadian magazine. We have a digital billboard with them, as well as a full-page advertorial, which is an ad company with an editorial, I think, or not opinion, but you know, I wrote it, but it talks about all the amazing things happening at Oceans. So we just had that, and I'll report back with results on that. You know, we can get the kind of analytics we can get from that, and how many cars drove by, and also how in the digital magazine how many people clicked through pages. So I'll report on that next month. I made the decision to switch us to an email marketing company called Emma. Previously, we were using Constant Contact. Emma is cheaper monthly, and also allows a lot more designer control, and they're going to fully design a branded email that would look very polished and professional, the same every month, except for obviously the content inside. So I'm excited about that. And then we're currently running ads for Old Town Breakdown and the fall season. So kept it short because I knew this meeting was going to be long, but does anyone have any questions? Just a little bit of background knowledge. Most of our money is spent on advertising, besides personnel. We have a presence in Texas Monthly and Texas Highways, and then we get those through Hancock Marketing, who we contract with, but we also pick up some smaller rides every now and then. I just got a call today with American Road Magazine, so I'm currently assessing that as well. We just kind of pick them up when we have the funds available and try to fill in every gap that we can with Kansas and Nacogdoches. So we do try to focus on drive markets for the most part. The Canadian publications were new for us because we had been seeing some hits on our website from Canada. So we have seen an increase there. I'm not sure if we're going to continue doing that, but I'll let y'all know.
All right, Shelby, thanks.
Max Tech Fridays this week. Shawley's is back. For us, at least. Shawley will be there, Casa del Valle, Revolutionary Road Pizza will be there. And then I've got your dog. It's the new. I left them there free. And then they're fun. And the plant. Sorry, I was kidding. Knapsacks have been a little bit slower, but I mean, we don't make it that much. Something for us to do for the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna. So I think for next year, not doing July in August is kind of gonna happen for sure. It's just, we've had quite a bit of groups wanting to come with the Old Town Breakdown happening and SFA Centennial happening on the same weekend. That's gonna be very busy. And then the Downtown Conference coming, and then, the Native Plant Society of Texas is also coming in November, which is super exciting. And then, the Bird Revival is actually Main Street, but I'm gonna say it. That is happening September 15th through October 15th. 14th, which is 8 different locations. They have a burger boat on it for this one. I don't know the cash.
Voters get food like right for the year. So there's a incentive for people to go eat downtown.
So that will start with Old Town Breakdown, just to give some more, instead of applying local. With the new groups coming in, and we have a plan for sort of.
You want to explain what a fan tour?
So a fan tour is a familiarization tour. So it's just basically getting the newer members, newer people to town to understand academics and a chance to highlight the CBD, what we do. I have talked with Mabel about doing one with the new city council who are just in, then our city manager and for that. Hopefully in October. Amazing.
Is it mostly maybe people?
So
media is invited, but this one is more geared towards, like she said, the new people, so the new city manager.
From one of the last Angela, I don't know what it was, but Joanna did it quite a while ago. It was just more of like residents moving in. That was what that.
That's a good internal, yeah, well.
There are media ones as well, but that's a little more grander scale. I think that's probably pretty far down the line.
Right, thank you. Mike?
Yes. July was busy with walk-ins. We had over 1,000 walk-ins in July. August is a different story. But then for July, there were families and just big groups. I guess it was travel time for a lot of people in here. We also, you mentioned Canada. This month, we've had people from New Zealand, Manchester, England, Canada, Australia, and the Netherlands. So it's amazing how people find that. Right. Really, that's all we are the garden capital of Texas, you know, and there's a garden capital organization that promotes garden capital. And they make these nut cards. And we're going to have these for sale. We're buying these for $5 and selling them for 10. Garden capital gets the 5, and we get 5. So it's a win-win. So we've always sold several of those. And always looking for people to volunteer. There's already anybody signed up for next month. I'm going to be out of town on September 9th and 10th, so we're going to have somebody come that.
So, just so everyone's aware, volunteering is a part of your responsibility as board members. So, if you are interested in volunteering anytime soon, especially in September, we're gonna have a major need for it. Get with Mike or myself and we can train you. It doesn't take long and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know. You just gotta have a general understanding about what there is to do in Nacogdoches and the history of it
And make it every year.
yeah. Something to say, I'm not
Well,
sure.
these girls, I'm going to be by myself on next week.
Yeah.
I'll just come hang out with
Yes.
you today.
I forgot to mention that in my report. Next week, Shelby and I will both be at the Texas Association of Convention and Visitors Bureau's conference. We'll be in College Station from Monday through Friday. Tuesday to Friday. We're leaving Monday after. So I'm sure Mike would love your company or love to leave and go get a sandwich for a few minutes if anyone has some time to watch over.
Wait, did you see now the email? For signing up?
We sent one out in July.
Do you not get our sign up genius? We should have, but we do it quarterly.
I don't think that's all at this time. Maybe-
Well, we do
maybe I
it
just
quarterly,
missed
but
it.
we do another one for October,
Isn't
November,
it down to
December.
July?
Yes, sir. July, August, no, June, July, August.
We'll go ahead and send it out again, tomorrow, that way, and we'll add all the new.
We'll add the new numbers on.
Yeah, that way, they'll try to help us fill in the crack.
It's fun. My daughter and I, who's high school age, we did it a couple weeks ago, and she was the talker. She wanted to. She told them exactly where they needed to go. Swimming in Taco is her number one. All right, so we are gonna go back to our, agenda item, executive director search update. And, we have, I just want to say that Larry King and Wanda Newcon and myself were on the executive director search. And we have been meeting, we've been meeting via email and we've met, via Zoom. We had a good number of candidates apply. Many were not qualified. I didn't do the screening question exactly right, but I think we had over 45 applicants for that position. And we met last week and we conducted Zoom interviews and are to the point where we are, I believe, are ready to make a.
I would make a motion that we move to executive session.
Okay. We had a motion to move into executive session.
I'll second.
Great. All right, so we are now going to be in executive session with our board members, and we thank our guests for being here, and we will let you know when we are out of executive session. To the session and back into regular session, and duly noted that executive session will be put on our next board agenda, so we won't have any concern about that. And Wanda, would you like to?
Yes, I make a motion that the board support the recommendation of the social media for election of Ashley for the
Another second. Okay, Taylor seconds. Any discussion? All right, we'll call for a vote. Those in favor of the recommendation that Ashley Morgan be named executive director of the FHCDB, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, we are adjourned. And thank you all for going over a little bit tonight and wish you all a good evening.